There's something I want to talk about today that sits underneath almost every question people bring me about manifestation, love, self trust, anxiety, and why they keep ending up in the same painful patterns again and again. And it's not what you think it is that I'm going to talk about. I'm not talking about willpower. It's not mindset. It's not even trauma, right? At least not in the way that I usually talk about it. It is something much more subtle and much more powerful. And that is the difference between coherence and polarity. And if you understand this, like truly in your body understand it, it will absolutely change how you relate to your intuition, to your relationships, and to your desires, right? Because most of us were taught to look for polarity and call it chemistry or destiny or twin flame or soulmate energy, when really what our nervous system has actually been craving all this time is deep coherence. So polarity is the spark, it's the charge, it's the pull between two people or two energies. And it can feel so intoxicating. It can feel magnetic. It can even feel fated for so many of us. But it often comes with anxiety. It comes with highs and lows. And it comes with that familiar feeling of wanting something that is just out of reach. Whereas coherence is different. Coherence is when your nervous system feels settled, aligned, and at home in itself. It's when your heart, your body, and your intuition are all saying the same thing at once. And so polarity creates intensity, whereas coherence creates safety. And that's an important distinction. And the truth is, most of us learn to confuse intensity for love and activation and connection because that's what our early attachment patterns trained us to recognize. So in this episode, I'm going to explore how that plays out, how it plays out in relationships, in manifestation, and in the way you trust or don't trust yourself. And also what it looks like to come back into coherence so that your life can finally start to feel as good as it looks on the outside. Let's jump in. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. All right, let's make this practical for a moment because what I'm talking about today isn't just theory. This is about what you feel in real life. So let's start with an example. Imagine you're sitting across from someone at dinner. They are charming and magnetic and a little mysterious, and they know how to look at you in a way that makes you feel special. And so your heart is fluttering and your stomach is tight and your mind is already running ahead and future tripping and imagining who they might be and where this could go and what this could mean for the both of you. And so there's excitement there. But there's also this subtle edge, right? A kind of like a nervous energy, kind of like a feeling that you're slightly leaning forward, slightly trying, slightly performing. And so you're not fully in your body, right? You're kind of up energetically in your head. You're scanning, you're hoping, you're wondering, you're kind of bracing a little bit even. And it feels like something important is happening, but it doesn't feel settled in your system. That's polarity. It's charged, it's activating, and for so many of us, it feels like love, right? Even when it's really just our nervous system being lit up by the familiar. All right, so that's like scenario number one. Now let's take scenario number two. So imagine sitting across from somebody else. The room feels quieter, even if the conversation is just as alive. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens. You don't feel the need to impress or keep the energy going, right? You're not performing per se. You feel that you can like breathe before you speak, and you can feel your feet on the floor. You're grounded, you're actually present. And imagine that there's attraction here too, but it's more grounded, right? There's warmth without the like spike. There's maybe interest without the anxiety. And so you're not disappearing into fantasy. You're here, you're with yourself, you're with the other person. That's coherence. And the thing is, your body knows the difference instantly, even if your mind doesn't, right? Because one feels like leaning forward, like trying almost to like catch something that might slip away, whereas the other feels like being able to lean back, like you don't have to like perform or earn the moment, right? And so one might feel like electricity, where I describe the other one as feeling more like a feeling of being at home in your own body. And so coherence is when all the parts of you are facing in the same direction, right? It's when your heart, your body, your nervous system, your intuition, and we'll even say your soul are no longer pulling you in different ways or different directions, right? There's kind of a quiet that happens then. And it's not a emptiness, it's a settledness, right? It's a feeling of being gathered back into yourself. And so you're not buzzing with anxiety and your mind isn't spiraling. You're here, you're present, you're rooted in what's actually true for you in the moment. It's that simple, right? That steady feeling of yes, that doesn't need to be explained or defended, right? Even if it's a little scary, even if it's sad, even when it's not what you were hoping would be true, right? Because coherence doesn't always feel comfortable, we can say, but it always feels honest. You know, it doesn't come with fireworks or drama. It comes with truth, like a real deep inner knowing. It comes with like a kind of a deep recognition, like something inside of you is nodding and saying, this is it, or this is a yes, or this makes sense. You know, it's like a feeling in your body. And when you are in coherence, you're not forcing yourself into anything. You're not trying to override a no with logic, or convince yourself to be okay with something that actually is not okay, right? You're not negotiating with your gut, and you're not abandoning yourself in order to keep the peace, right? You're simply standing in what is real for you. And there's a real like superpower. It's like it's like a real quiet strength in that, a groundedness, right? A sense that you can trust the holy ground that you're standing on, even if you don't know what comes next. And this is really what psychologists call integration, right? When the parts of you that want love, the parts that feel fear, the parts that remember the past, and the parts that hope for the future are all allowed to coexist together. There's space for all of it. And they're not fighting for control. They're all in conversation, and you don't have to split yourself in half anymore in order to survive. Before we continue, I'd like to share something that I've personally been using in my own practice, especially during monthly ceremonies and gatherings. I've been integrating the Rainbow Chakra full-length mat from Healthy Line, and it's become a really supportive part of how I ground my nervous system and create intentional space. This mat combines far infrared heat, PEMF therapy, and chakra aligned gemstones, which makes it incredibly powerful for slowing down, regulating, and reconnecting with the body. Each time I get on the mat, it works every time. I feel a deep sense of warmth and a settling. I don't feel stimulated. I don't feel like I have to force anything. It's just my system remembering how to soften. So I use it during meditation, breath work, and like I said, I have all my participants use it during monthly ceremonies, and I've gotten such amazing feedback. Everybody just loves laying on this mat. It's really the kind of experience that stays with you even after you get up off the mat. So if you're curious about it and you want to learn more about how it works and how I use it in my own personal practice, you can click the link in my show notes or visit the link in my bio. And so in Kabbalah, this is what it means to live in the Sphira of Tiferet. It's the heart on the tree of life, right? Where Chesed, which represents love and openness and generosity, and Gevurah, which represents boundaries, strength, and discernment, they both come into balance, into harmony. And this kind of harmony is not weak or passive, right? It's powerful. It's the type of harmony that happens when your soul stands in its truth without collapsing, without attacking, without needing to explain yourself, without needing to convince another person why they need to see things your way, right? It's you not betraying yourself. And that is the deepest type of alignment that there is, in my opinion, right? But now polarity, let's unpack polarity for a second, right? Because polarity is quite the opposite. Right? Polarity is actually what happens when different parts of you are pulling you in different directions all at the same time, right? Your heart is saying, I want them. Your body is tightening and whispering, though, I don't feel safe, right? And so your intuition is trying to get your attention and it's trying to tell you that something's off here, but your attachment system is panicking, right? Your attachment system is saying, no, don't lose them. Don't lose this. Don't be alone. Don't let go. Abandon yourself in the name of love. But underneath all of that, your old trauma is actually chiming in and it's reminding you to stay small. It's reminding you, or it's trying to convince you not to make waves, right? Don't stir the pot. Just be easy, right? Just be chosen. And so what happens is it creates a kind of tension inside, kind of like a tug of war, right? Where you're kind of pulled towards someone and away from yourself, both at the same time. And that polarity is what creates charge. It creates longing and magnetism and anxiety and obsessive thinking, right? And it really takes you out of presence because what it creates is a system that needs to be scanning and waiting and hoping and bracing and wondering, right? And so you feel the highs when they text you back, let's say, right? When they lean in, when you feel wanted and desired, that's a high. That feels good. Okay, now you're pulled in, right? But then the low lows come when they pull away, when they go quiet, when they don't give you what you want or what you were hoping for. And it's just like this really insane, dramatic roller coaster. And so polarity really does feel like electricity in the body. Like it's charged. It's the flutter in your chest when you see their name pop up on your phone. And then it's the ache when hours go by and they haven't responded, right? And then again, the rush that comes back when they finally do, and it's so easy to mistake that for love or chemistry or destiny. It's so easy to talk yourself into believing that your needs are too much, right? Or your needs don't matter, but what your nervous system is actually experiencing in those moments is not love. It's survival, right? It's the old familiar pattern of trying to secure connection so that you don't feel abandoned, right? And this is where we start to over-explain ourselves or needing to justify our needs or explain to somebody else why they're doing it wrong. And that gets really murky. And so in Kabbalah, this is what it looks like when the soul swings between chesed and gevurah, without ever landing in the center, right? One moment you're in chesed, which is like overgiving and merging and longing and wanting to be closer and wanting to be everything for them, right? But the next moment you're in gevura, pulling back, protecting yourself, feeling guarded, afraid of getting hurt, right? And that back and forth creates the drama. It creates obsession. It creates the feeling that someone else holds power over your emotions and over your sense of self-worth, right? And so until you find that center, until you anchor into like self energy or higher self energy or your God particle or so many different names to soul, right? So many different ways to say the same thing, right? It's like that swing just keeps repeating itself. And so here's the part that most people never actually hear. And it really changes everything once you let it land, right? And that's that healthy relationships absolutely should have polarity, right? There has to be a spark. There has to be difference and differentiation. And there has to be masculine and feminine energy and desire and curiosity and a sense of being drawn towards someone who is not you, right? Because we are relational beings and we are in an interrelational dynamic, you know? So from that perspective, love is not meant to be flat. It's meant to feel alive, right? But that feeling of charge and polarity has to be held inside of coherence, meaning it has to be held inside of a container that you feel safe in. Otherwise, it just turns into chaos, right? And so what that actually means in real life is that you can want someone deeply and still feel safe in yourself at the same time, right? You can feel attraction and excitement without your nervous system going into overdrive, right? You can feel passion without abandoning yourself or losing your boundaries, you know, and you can feel that magnetism. You should absolutely feel that magnetism in your relationships, right? But not at the expense of disappearing into the other person. This is where our energetic field gets murky and leaky. And it's like, where do I end? Where do you begin? And like, no, like this, real polarity is held inside of coherence. You know, you get to bring your whole self into the relationship. And ultimately, that's what true intimacy really is. It's not the trauma fireworks, and it's not the addictive high of being pulled towards someone while feeling like you're losing yourself, right? It's two nervous systems that feel grounded enough to feel desire without collapsing into it, and two nervous systems that are willing to show up and say, I'm here to create safety for myself and for the other, right? Which means a showing up. It means a taking responsibility for yourself and for the other, right? Two people who can lean on each other, right? Without falling over, you know, two people who can be separate and still choose each other, you know, and that kind of intimacy might feel quieter at first if you're used to chaos, you know, but it's definitely deeper. It's a deeper type of love. It's a deeper type of attraction, a deeper type of attachment, connection. It's because it's not going to burn you out and it's not going to keep you guessing. And it actually creates a space where healthy, stable love can grow, you know? And so, you know, what does this actually mean when it comes to choosing a partner? Because let's be honest, yes, attraction matters. I'm not saying that it doesn't. So let me clarify that. I'm going to say it again and again. Attraction matters. You don't want to be in relationships that feel flat or dead or just purely practical, or that check all of the boxes on your list on paper, but there isn't like a feeling of like, ooh, I want to be with this person, right? So, but the question isn't like, am I attracted, right? The real question is, what kind of attraction is this? Is it the electrical pull of polarity that makes you feel anxious and hyper-focused and not in your center and not aligned? Or is it the quieter pull of coherence that lets you feel present and safe and open at the same time? Right? And so one of the biggest shifts is really learning to listen deeply, not just to the excitement in your chest, but to the signals in your body. Right? When you are with someone who is aligned for you, there may still be butterflies, but they're not accompanied by dread, right? And there might be anticipation, but it's not like wrapped up in fear. You don't feel like you're performing for their love or scanning for signs that you might lose it. It feels grounded, and the other is also creating a safety, like a safe space for you to like feel like you can surrender into it. There isn't like you're not questioning yourself. You feel you feel like you can be more of yourself and not less, right? The moment you feel like I can't show up as myself to this relationship, you need to question, is this polarity or is this coherence? Right? Because so many of us were trained. I mean, think like Disney movies and Hollywood and right, all of the depictions of love and romance that we've been conditioned to believe is like the ultimate fantasy. And so then when we don't feel the fireworks, we go to believe that something's actually missing. But actually fireworks often come from nervous system activation, not from true compatibility. Hi, Ayelet here. I just wanted to pop in and say I am so excited to officially introduce the Manifestation Method portal, membership, and app. This is your home for all things Kabbalistic manifestation. You'll get access to my monthly live workshops, soul deep hypno activations and attunements, all of our manifestation courses, and our global community of manifestors. And the best part? It's just $26 a month. That's less than a latte a week. Come manifest alongside me and start creating the life you desire and deserve. Head over to ayeletpolonsky.com to join us. There's a difference between chemistry and compatibility. Right? Fireworks happen when something familiar and unresolved is being touched. That's how I would explain it. Whereas coherence feels like your system can rest while still being interested in the other person. Like the compatibility should still come with interest, and so you can breathe while still being drawn in, and you can imagine a future together without your stomach tightening into knots and twisting and turning. This actually, I'll share about my own personal journey with Beryl. When we first started dating, we didn't have the loud, overwhelming fireworks. And that was something I was really used to in relationships, was like the big, big, big fireworks. Oh my gosh, we're in love. Oh my gosh, let's get married. And then it was like, it'd burn out faster than I could turn on the fire. Right. And so with Beryl, there was excitement. Yeah. And because it was new and it was meaningful, and right, it was the possibility of choosing a life partner, which is one of, if not the most biggest decision we ever make. But the deeper feeling was something else. It was like this quiet knowing, like a sense of, oh, this is different. This actually feels like stability and loyalty and commitment and choosing, right? Like we chose each other again and again and again. And I had a sense when we were dating that this man would make an incredible husband and father, right? I knew he was emotionally available for my big feminine waters. And he is, and he was, and he's remains steady and true to the person that I met, thank God. Right. And so that person was someone who I knew I could build a life with. Right. And so what we did was we chose to take that small fire that was there, and we chose to build it inside of the container of marriage itself. Right. Because a fire that starts out raging often burns itself out. But really a fire that starts off steady, that feels settling rather than overwhelming, that's a fire that you can keep stoking over time because it's sourced in a regulated nervous system. It's sourced in safety and containment. And so it gives space and breath for the fire to grow and deepen. Right? It becomes warmth and devotion. It turns into a home. It turns into a home that can hold and support community because there's stability there. There's roots, right? So when you're choosing a partner, notice how your body feels when you're with them, right? Notice whether you feel more like yourself or less like yourself. Notice whether you feel grounded and seen and safe, and notice if you're able to share what it is you want and need, and if it's received and held and not like retaliated against, right? Or on the flip side, notice if your system feels anxious and activated or slightly on edge, right? Because yes, attraction matters, but coherence is what tells you whether that attraction is something you can actually build a life on top of, right? And so you don't heal by just choosing the right person. You heal by choosing coherence, right? You heal by staying loyal to your body and not trying to bypass your the subtle nuances, the impulses, not bypassing the needs that, every system is different, and the level of safety and containment we each require is going to be so different from the next person, but I know, as I can speak as a woman, I think we all need a certain degree of like the masculine to hold a safe container so that we can be the moon that waxes and wanes, so that we can be the waves of the emotional ocean, right? And we want to feel held in that experience. And this really requires you staying loyal to your body, right? It requires you to heal by listening to that quiet yes instead of going for the really loud craving, right? Because when you do that, something incredible happens, right? The people who need you to be small, they fall away. The people who say you're too much, they no longer enter your field because you're honoring yourself first, right? The people who are meant to be yours will be yours. And the people who can meet you in your truth, they stay. They stay for the ride. I've taken Beryl on a ride. God bless him. And like he's been able to show up again and again and again. Perfectly every time? No, and that's okay. But there's a commitment to showing up again and again and again, and also a commitment to understanding each other and what each of our truths are. And can we dance in that gray area between us, right? In that space between us, because that's where the polarity gets to live inside of the coherence, right? And from that place, love stops feeling like anxiety and it starts to feel like home. And so as we come to the end of this episode, I want to leave you with one simple question that you can keep coming back to again and again in your relationships, in your manifestations, in your daily choices. Right? And these are the questions of, does this feel like coherence or does it feel like polarity? Does my body feel settled or activated? Do I feel like I can be more of myself or less of myself? Right? And am I grounded in my truth, or am I just trying to secure something outside of me because of an attachment wound? Right? And these questions alone can really change your life and change the trajectory of how you make decisions moving forward. And if you feel like you want support in learning how to listen to your body more deeply, how to regulate your nervous system, how to make choices from alignment instead of from attachment patterns, well, that's why I created the Manifestation Method membership, for that purpose exactly. And inside it, you'll find guided hypnoactivations and nervous system tools and integration practices. I go on live every single month, and so you get to be in shared space with me and workshop this material directly. And you'll get the best of my courses and my teachings to help you come back to that place of coherence in yourself so that you can create the relationships, the abundance, and the life that actually feels safe and good to live inside of. Right? It's a space where you're not doing this alone. You get to be held, guided, and gently reminded of who you truly are. Right? And so if this episode touched you, if it helped you, if it gave you language for something you've been feeling but couldn't quite maybe name precisely, then it would mean so much to me if you took a moment to give the Manifestation Method podcast a rating or review. That's really how this work finds the people who need it, right? People who are also quietly looking for a way back to themselves. So thank you so much for being here with me and for listening and for doing the brave work of choosing coherence over chaos. I'll see you in the next episode. Here's to your rising. enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.